Hey guys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Finding Nemo. In this part, we're going through one of my least favourite levels in the entire game. Welcome to Submarine. So, Bruce gets the smell of Dory's blood, and as such, she sort of goes a little bit crazy, despite the fact that, as we know, fish are friends, not food. And the end result is a level that is way too long for its own good. The bubble rings say it all. It's the most of any level in the game. 127 bubble rings. Now these parts are fine. The parts are just running away from Bruce. Dory gives you an idea of what to do. You just gotta stay ahead of him. Try and stay in the middle of the screen. The bubbles are always there. You never have to worry about going left, right, up or down or anything. Then every now and then, Bruce will try and lunge forward at you. He usually does it right after a trail of bubble rings, but you have got to be quick though, because sometimes the bubble rings will then appear almost immediately after. He does sort of aim at you, so if you're slightly to the left or right of the screen, then he will go towards the left or right of the screen, depending on where you are. But he's really easy to avoid, and as a kid, I always thought these parts were epic. I loved these parts. What I didn't love was everything else, including these areas. So this game has two 2D sections. The first one is fine. This one is alright. It's the second one that I don't like, because these areas can be gargantuan. As you saw right there, that also has a habit, it does this in a couple of levels, you go right through the shells without ever picking them up. I don't know what causes that to happen, but you got slugs and urchins in your way, you got these random flamethrower things. This level gives you a lot of krill, and you're going to need all that krill. On top of this, you've got the standard enemies, because you've got the hermit crabs. You've got these eel things that appear out of the background, and then once they reach a certain, I don't know, part of the foreground, they then become a hazard. There are mines in certain areas, and we've got to hit these switches to open the doors. I don't remember this part of the movie. Well, okay. They got locked in a room. That part did happen. I think it did happen twice. We don't have Bruce constantly banging against the door, sadly. So hit the switch. That opens up the door, and that's it for this one. This one is simple. This one is fine. But you have sort of got to explore a bit, because the areas get quite tall. So it's quite easy to miss bubble rings. But again, this one is fine. It's the second 2D section. And the third one that can be quite problematic.
Hold up! It's Bruce!
Yes, it is. I think it's impossible for him to hit you there. I think I may have done it. You have to make sure that you don't hold X at any point. Even right at the start. Do not hold X. It's the only way he's ever going to hit you during that attack. I think as long the moment he has stopped the forward lunge is when you can then move back up again. He won't get you after that. I will say it's not exactly, it's a bit on the repetitive side. I do really like Submarine's music. It's the best thing about the entire game is the music. You know, they're not all winners, but when the music is good, it can be really good, and I think this is one of them. That was close. Bruce, you're clipping through the doors now. Oh no, you can clearly get through.
Another passage. Let's get that door.
Yeah, it's another passage, and this one goes on and on and on. So the last one was just one room. That's all we had to do. Find the switch. It was just one room. This one isn't. This one is 3 rooms. And by the way, you lose the krill every single time you go into one of those chase sections. Bruce's instant death, and I guess they had to get rid of the krill to make sure of that. So any krill you gathered before, you're gonna lose it now. And you're gonna want as much krill as you can, because it's so easy to bump into things here. Oh look, the more eels are back. I was wrong, they're actually in 3 levels. They're very rare here though. So we've got hermit crabs. I think it's just hermit crabs. I don't think there's any clams here. We've got mines. Their hitboxes are weird. For the most part, they're in the background. I guess it's like the very center of it is in the foreground. So that's the only part that can actually explode. Other than that, the mines are the least of your worries. There's so many bubble rings, it really gives an idea of how long the level is. And the thing, the worst part of this level is the end. That doesn't even have bubble rings. That's after you collected the bubble rings. If you've done so. I will say, if you quit and exit a level and you already got a starfish, you do keep the starfish. And you can potentially play the bonus game without actually finishing the level. You still can't move on, but you can do it that way. Okay, so we didn't need to open a door to get into this room, but there is a door in this room. We also have the pebbles, because this didn't go on long enough already. And I accidentally hit the bubble, you stupid eel. I've got to wait forever for it to come back. It's the only way of taking this thing out. And then you sort of just have to hope that there's no more, I was nowhere near it. That there's no more eels coming. Because the eels do respawn. They're not so, I don't think so much as there's a loop, they just respawn. Hey, get out of the bed. Yep. Luckily once it's in the bed you can't pick it back out again. Now we gotta go backwards. So the red one is right at the beginning of the room, it's on the other side of this thing. I don't know why I'm going down there, past me. Too far, too far. Past me, where are you going? You know where this thing is, you've played the game enough times. So what if it's been a few years? I'm pretty sure I played the game more recently than I watched the movie. But I will say, I do love the movie. Didn't care for Finding Dory that much, but I do like Finding Nemo. I mean, it's Pixar, come on. I don't watch Pixar really that much anymore. I can't remember what the last Pixar, the latest released Pixar film I watched was. In fact, I think it was Finding Dory. No, it's Incredibles 2. What am I talking about? Other than that, I don't think there's any others. None of the recent ones. I haven't seen Coco. I haven't seen. I don't even remember what the others are. I haven't seen Toy Story 4. I love Toy Story 1 and 2. I really love Toy Story 2. I didn't care for 3 that much. I haven't seen 3 since it came out. So I could have a completely different state of mind if I rewatch it. But nothing beats Monsters Inc. The Incredibles comes close, but nothing beats Monsters Inc. for me. Monsters Inc. is the highlight. It's the best one to me. I love Monsters Inc. In fact, Monsters Inc. is probably my favourite animated film in general. And yes, there is a Monsters Inc. video game, and I do have that as well. And I think of my entire collection, that's probably the last, that's probably like the one I played, if you go furthest back in time to my last playthrough of it. It's definitely up there. Because I mean, I think it's called Monsters Inc. Scare Island here. I think it's called Scream Team internationally, and it's shut up. It's fine. I'm gonna turn that off. Why do I keep leaving my phone sound on during so many of these commentaries? It's just asking to go off. It's more interesting than anything that's happening on screen right now. All I'm doing is just carrying a stone. It's literally just up here, but I've got a slight obstacle to get past. I've got to drag this blue one so far. There it is. What are these things anyway? Because it's literally a stone and I'm putting it on some kind of bed. What kind of stone has a bed? I have no idea what I'm doing, really. But it's the objective. It gets me the magical starfish. This is just for shells. And yet, you get a considerably smaller shell count in this level than you did in the last one. Nearly there with the enemies, but there's still so much further to go. Because we still haven't gotten to the worst part of the level yet. Or the next one. It's in 2 levels in a row. That's it. This is where I just decided to stick close to the top. Because you never know where the bubble rings are going to be. Look at that! It's right next to the freaking flamethrower. Wouldn't that stop the bubble? Or make a load of them? I'm not sure. They're so easy to miss. You do get so nervous. You get nervous that you've missed one here, and you get nervous that you may have accidentally missed one because you went up or down too quickly or too slowly in the 3D sections. Yeah, the mines for the most part really aren't that problematic. It's only right in the middle that they actually like are physically there. I guess the rest of it's in the background or something. This level also kind of makes it... It's the same problem that we had that was in the bonus mission from Minefield. It's that because the background is orange, it's quite difficult to actually see where Marlin is. Right, this time we've got to actually hit something in order to get to the switch in the first place. So knock that out, it opens that up slightly. There we go. Come on me. That's a good thing there's really no missing those. Pass me, you're too greedy. Stop going after all the irrelevant stuff. The shells do nothing. Going after the krill, okay, but going after the shells is pointless. Nearly there. Oh, the section goes on forever. Still nothing up here. Again, the level is so tall. You're never really sure what the safe way to go is. Damn it! Now I gotta wait again. Or at least these are here. This is one of 2 levels, I think, where the bubble ring count is above 100, but the other one is a harder level. In fact, it's probably the hardest level in the game. But I don't feel it's as long as this one. That said, it's equally, if not more, annoying just because it's so easy to miss one set of bubble rings right in the middle of the level. And there's no, like, killing yourself to get them back. You then have to just restart the entire level. Right, that's all the enemies. What we're going to do now is, because this is open, come down here. Why is this switch here? Because I know in the end, the submarine isn't really that big. We're a clownfish. You know, this is not exactly big when it comes to a human walking around it. But how is a human supposed to get to that switch in there? It looks like you could just about barely fit your pinky finger in there. So it's like, how do humans actually make their way around this submarine?
This is fun.
Dory, what are you talking about? Bruce's movements do not look right. There's just something about it I just don't feel looks right. Maybe it's just because I can't really see his tail that well. But as a kid, I did always think this was pretty epic. I hated this level so much. Even before I got to the last section. You're fine. Hey, why can't we just carry on now?
This is fun.
You know, he thinks he's got us. We're probably able to taste that he hasn't. But surely we can just sneak our way to the exit now, right? Hey, the music really helps. I always used to try and go in whatever directions I could. Assuming I hadn't already collected the bubble rings. Or I had already collected the bubble rings. There we go, 127 out of 127, and no, we're not finished yet. Look, here's something. Escape. I wonder what that means. It's funny. It's just like the word escape. Oh, I can't hit the switch. What's this thing in the background here? What is it? It almost looks... Oh, no. This part. I hate this part. You know how I hate the puzzles in this game. And this is yet another example. This is the one that I always had the hardest time with of them all. And needless to say, this one was no exception. But this is, however, the only one in an actual level that you can see that it shows you what it is you're supposed to do. Now you have that picture on the other side just to help you out a bit. You don't get that in any of the other levels. I think in terms of like appearing in an actual level, not as a mini game, there's like 4 of these. One of them is you're just making the shape of a character. That's the one we'll be seeing in the next level. So, okay, I can understand why that one doesn't have like an extra picture. But it's the only one that gives you a helping hand. I mean, at least generally there is something that will tell you. Like one of them, we're connecting colours. So that makes sense. In the other, I think I'm making the same shape as this one. Or at least something very similar. But once that's done, the switch can now be pressed. The door opens. And the level just anticlimactically ends just like that. Okay, that's it. It just ends like that.
You can read?
I can read. That's right. I can.
That's right. We can read. Dory can read dentist. Oh, that level goes on forever. The craziest thing is, that's probably my fastest run I've ever done of it. But the madness doesn't stop there. I used to like this level, but for the sake of the playthrough, it had to be my enemy. It's all because of those freaking puzzles. But, while Submarine is the longest level in the game, its bonus mission really isn't. So we have yet another kind of mini-games. This is something, you know, we've seen races plenty of times before. New gimmick though, red rings. These are mostly found in these racing sections. Most racing sections don't even have them. Like, I think they're only in like 1 or 2 main levels. Otherwise they're restricted to these mini-games, of which there is only 2. This is the longer and by far the easier of the 2. There's no Bruce in sight, you're just racing Dory to the finish. As long as you just go through all the red rings and just keep holding X, it's really no trouble whatsoever. This is better than the actual level. Again, if the entire level was maybe just the Bruce chase sequences, I probably wouldn't mind it so much. Because there is a level that we're going to be getting to later on that is pretty much just a chase level. You're just dodging out of the way. It gets a bit repetitive, but it's really short. This game doesn't have any boss fights. That's really all it's got. But it's a much better level as a result of it. What is my time for this? 1 minute, fish. I didn't see what the rest of it was. I wonder if that's beatable, because you can only go so fast. You can go through all the red rings. Okay, hide and seek. We are now in the fish tank, playing as Nemo again, first time in a while. It's over there. It's over there. Okay, well some of them are definitely hidden better than others. I can't help but feel I saw something just then. Oh well, I decided to go after everything first, which was a dumb idea. And enemies! We haven't seen them since the drop-off, and it's the only other time we're going to see them. Which makes me wonder why they were in the game in the first place. So they appear in Field Trip and they appear in the drop-off, and then this is the only other time afterwards that we see them. And it's not like they're used for hiding or for anything. You don't even spin around when you come out of it. It's purely just for interacting with blows. I think I've got their names anyway. I want to say it's Bubbles, Deb, Peach, Gurgle, Jacques, and Bloats, and Gil, who's not here. I think that's their names. Because several of them, their names aren't actually mentioned out loud. Like Gurgle was never mentioned out loud. Bubbles, I mean, he says his name all the time because we know he's obsessed with Bubbles, but we're never actually told that that's also his name. And then the others, we know it's Peach and Deb and Gil. And then I could never make out if it was Bloat or Float, but I think it's Bloat, because he has a pufferfish. I would also like to thank Finding Nemo for introducing me to all of these different kinds of fish that I'd never heard of before then. Because the DVD of Finding Nemo, what I have is like it's a 2-disc thing. And it's got this part in it called Mr. Ray's Encyclopedia, and he sort of introduces you to a majority of the fish here. It's a bit weird when he only calls some of them by their scientific names. So like Gil, I think it's pronounced as like Moorish Idol or something like that, but for the longest time I didn't know that was what it was called. I always called it by the scientific name, because that's what Mr. Ray calls it. So it's so weird when he's like, the spectacular Zanclus cornutus is an unmistakable fish. Same with Dory. I now know it's called like a regal tang or a surgeonfish, which is confusing because there's another kind of fish called a surgeonfish, but like he calls it Paracantherus hepatus or something like that. What's the other? Oh yeah, is that the common name for the Lismata amboinensis is the cleaner shrimp. AC does both there, and same with the great whites. He calls it, well, he stutters. He's like Cacarodon Cacarius, because he's scared of it. Anybody needs me, I'm gonna be buried in the sand right over there. Bye. I mean, he is a scientist, sir. Is there any problems? Oh, screw that one. Screw this puzzle. I normally don't have much trouble with this puzzle, but this time, we'll get to that. We never get an introduction to Bubbles, though, his species. Everybody else does, I think. They're not all scientific. It's the only way of getting that stone. Like, I don't know what the purpose of his one talking about like Deb species is. Ah, the lovely black and white humbug. Humbug, whatever it is. She's Ebenezer Scrooge. Also known as the zebrafish. This colourful black and white stripes, some might be tempted to call it the striper. Or the Edinburgh and Ivory fish. You might call it the barcode. Or a bunch of other things that I couldn't pronounce that he then repeats multiple times. But for me, this fascinating little swimmer will always be known as Frank. And then it's like he just gets frustrated because he wants to see the starfish move. Where he says that the royal grammar, which is gurgle, is the shy and secretive fish. But what could it hold so tightly? What does a fish know that will make it so secretive? Is there anything I don't know that we should know? Hey, little fella, that's another secret. Why won't you... I don't remember how the rest of it goes. I vow that one day I will discover your secrets. Mark my words. Anyway, we've got to take this green one very far. Taking this thing about halfway into the level. You do go through the whole circuit around the fish tank. I think it's the only level where you do this. All the other levels are just going from one end to another, which is really annoying in the last one. But the others... Well, one is just a straightforward bit where you're just trying to get to the volcano, and then... The third one I don't even know what the point of anything is. We'll get to that level. I have my things to say about that level. Anyway, so I don't know if they can actually get behind the volcano, or if it's just we're just seeing it from the perspective. No, because we do a full circuit of the tank. This is actually, they could clearly just swim right into this. So I don't know why we're restricted to a 2D plane for this, but gameplay. So again, we've had more of this already.
If you see any
And
of
there's
those,
Gurgle.
don't tell them I'm in here.
I'm surprised he even wants to be in here. I know what he's moving like. He hasn't been decontaminated yet. Jock! Clean him! Ocean. Ooh la mer. I was disappointed that they never really appeared in Finding Dory. I mean, I didn't want all of the characters to just be reused again, but they only showed up right at the very end and they're still in the bags. Just covered in algae. Again, I didn't want everybody to just reappear again. You know, Crush briefly reappeared. I don't think the sharks were in it at all. But one thing I don't think that the people at Pixar knew is that whale sharks aren't whales. But she acts like a whale. And she calls like a whale, but she's not. She's a shark. You know, Dory says it runs in her family, the short-term memory loss. So clearly her parents do not suffer from it. But then again, she's not sure. She says at least she thinks it does. And they actually followed up on that one little section. Alright, that's that part. So to get to Jacques, you gotta knock all of these coconuts, I think. They're very loud when they land.
No. We must have no mess.
What was that? Okay, well, Peach is really easy to find. We already saw her. In fact, I'm amazed I didn't activate it with how close I got to her last time. Deb, on the other hand, is the most annoying one. So quite easy to miss, because again, the level is quite tall. And as such, it's quite easy to swim underneath the puzzle, but at the same time, if you don't see it before, just swim a bit higher. Okay, if you thought submarine lasted a while, I was here forever. I usually don't have that much trouble with this one. So I remember when I got to this level the first time, I was horrified because I'd just come off a submarine having to deal with this. And then I actually didn't have that much of a hard time with this one at all. Well, this time I had a harder time here than I did in submarine. There's 3 of these in a row. So you have one in submarine, you have one in hide and seek, you have one in the next level. And watch me mess up the next one as well, probably. I haven't recorded that far yet. It's so annoying when it's like you very nearly solved the puzzle and then you end up with like one piece out of place and then you gotta mess it all up again. And then you're back to square one. Quite literally in this case. Why is one piece always blank? Come on, your barcode. So close. Ugh. I'm nearly there, damn it. Or am I? No, I'm not. What am I so? Ugh, your stupid middle piece. What I'm doing is just trying to make a reflection. That's what I'm making here. We're just making flow. That's all this is. It's just flow. There we go.
Oh, who's this? Do you know?
Don't listen to anything her sister says. She's nuts. And there we go. Simple as that. She's not exactly going anywhere.
It's not gonna be pretty.
But what did he use to open? David Wivendrow. He's been faving that one. I've no idea what it's called. It just sounds like David Wivendrow, but I don't know if these are actual dental terms. I have no idea. But one thing we never get in this game is Nigel smacking into the window. Or the seagulls. The seagulls aren't in this game. Might. They're nowhere to be seen. You rats with wings. Alright, our second and last of the puzzle matching games. This one is actually easier. Because it's 3 towers instead of 2, it's a lot easier, I find, to memorize which one is which. And you can get a better chance of you seeing where the previous one you missed is. So this one I think is a lot easier. And then sometimes you get stuff like that, which is always nice. Nope, that wasn't right. This one is right. Yeah, and I just find it easier to judge which one is what, just because it's not a constant loop. Why is the second one easier than the first? Okay, see how much easier this is? Don't know why, it just is. There you go. And that's where you get the benefit of having the 3 layers instead of 2, is with the same number of squares. And it anchors at the end. Deb's image is kind of scary. It's like her eyes. Her eyes look terrifying. We never get one of Crush. Why is Crush never appear in any of this? So the anglerfish gets one, but Crush doesn't. Anchor gets one, and he's not even in the game. But for some reason, Crush doesn't get one. Yes, come on. I remember these ones much better. And again, just as you keep going, it just gets easier and easier. Like that. There's only one option. Yep. And there we go, that's it. That's all it took. So much easier than the previous one. Nemo, you're still creeping me out with that magically appearing fin. In less than half the time it took me to do the first one. Okay, so next up, mask search this time. I kept getting them mixed up, so I will see you guys then.